Evian down there.
Beautiful to get some Evian down there.
I treated us today.
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh, you know what? I went in the supermarket. It was like post-apocalyptic Britain. All the the co-op on the way from all the shelves were empty.
Really? I
was like,
wonder what's
maybe
there's
something going on. Ragamuffins on the line.
Yeah. Toilet paper's missing again.
Yeah. Oh no!
Bring us back.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Someone started another fried chicken business. This is unbelievable.
True.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Go-To Food Podcast, brought to you by Blink, the UK company revolutionising the POS game. And today, we're joined by the man who turned chili fried chicken into a New York obsession, a Queen's native, a former 3 Michelin star sous chef, a Juilliard-trained cellist. I mean, there's so much to get into, and just a bit of an all-round legend in Eric Huang. Eric, welcome to the show. Welcome to London.
Thank you
what
so
brings
much.
you to this great city of ours?
Well, my wife studied at LSE for a couple of years,
Beautiful.
and she loved London. I'd never been here before, and she convinced me to travel here, and I also came to really love it.
Nice.
I grew up in New York. I was pretty convinced I was going to die in New York, just stay there forever.
Yeah.
And it turns out there's other cities out there. Had a very
the whole world out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Had
incredible.
a very myopic American New Yorker view, but London's beautiful. And then reached out to some people here about cooking here. And was very well received the first time, so here we are again.
So where are you going to this time? I've seen you messing around at Carousel.
Yes, so that was our first cooking adventure here. We did a guest chef series at Carousel. It went super well. I learned that the Brits really love fried chicken.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that coming into it.
Oh,
so,
really?
I didn't really know what to expect.
Well, I think it's like a last 5 or 10 years thing. We've gone mad for it.
Is it
You're
correct?
obsessed with it.
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, the Korean scene is huge.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Yeah, is it? I don't know. I feel like there's like a slight wave of Americana that's appreciated here, like smash burgers and barbecue and stuff
for sure.
like that.
Oh, no, huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's overdone now in
Yeah.
the States, but it seems like it's kind of reaching
No, I
its
think
crest
it is
here.
kind of here as well, the smash burger
Yeah,
stuff.
we've had a lot of people calling it out on the show, so it's the thing they'd like to see less of. But
Smash burgers?
Yeah.
Way
But I
less
think-
smash burgers, way less caviar.
Yeah,
That'd
yeah.
be really great. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
What's on the menu at Carousel then? Because you're doing it again. Right?
So we're doing the first week today. This week we're doing Pecking House, which is very kind of like country fried chicken shop meets Chinese restaurant kind of vibe. So our chili fried chicken, obviously front and center. Biscuits, pasta salad, that kind of thing. Very American. And then next week we're doing something newer. We're doing something called Mama Huang's. It's kind of like an homage to the restaurants I grew up in.
Yeah.
My mother's restaurants, and a little bit more of like a Chinese banquet, refined kind of experience. But we'll still have the chili fried chicken.
Nice.
And then we're doing a collaboration with the Standard Hotel.
Ooh.
nice.
So we'll be the residents there, the chef in residence there throughout August. So a lot of fried chicken
dude, we need to
in
be-
Are you going to
London.
be staying here the whole time?
I'm gonna stay through like the beginning of August,
yeah.
and then the Standard's gonna take over from there. But
That's awesome.
I saw the team, the space already. It looks awesome.
Oh, it's a
super
great
fun.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a party.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can I just take you to Mama Huang's?
Yeah.
What's on what are those dishes that are going to be on that sort of thing? I'm just fascinated as a Chinese food obsessive from a British perspective.
I have wondered.
I'd kind of
about
like
it.
to know what what would be on that banquet menu for you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know a ton about like the Chinese diaspora, if you will, in England as much. So like in America, like obviously there's like these kind of like grand banquet halls where these like really elaborate cooking, like they pulled all these photos from my mother's restaurant where there's like carved vegetables and like sculptures out of carrots and daikon, and I was like, maybe don't do that because I don't know how to do that. Like,
behave yourself.
I was like, it's like my skill set stops at a certain point.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like luxury, like kind of kitschy in some way, like doing kind of like a lobster salad where like it's presented in the shell and like this kind of like a little more old school stuff.
Yeah, nice.
And doing like kind of like back in the day when filet mignon was like kind of like a sexy word that people didn't know about, to the Chinese people that was like, oh, this is elevated Western cooking, and like now filet mignon's like kind of tired in Western cooking, but like bringing it back and like that kind of stuff. It's almost like a little bit old school.
Cool.
And the stuff my mom still cooks today. She's still running the show.
Yeah,
Have you tried any British Chinese food then, or Taiwanese food?
I got some takeout out of curiosity, and I purposely went for something that was like pretty bottom of the barrel because I really wanted to see like what the
reality of
like the
old
really like cheap Chinese takeout place,
like
in,
high street spot. Nothing special. Yeah.
Like in Brooklyn, this would be the kind of place that like has bulletproof glass. And like you never see the person, and like there's a kid like doing homework back there. And it was like similar, but also
What
like
did you
kind of
order?
different. What did I get? I got a crispy shredded beef. I felt like I had to get a fried rice and dumplings. I had to try all the
Prawn toast or
basics.
not?
Yeah.
So you guys love prawn toast here.
Yeah.
Every menu I saw has prawn toast.
Yeah.
It's kind of phased out in America.
Really?
I don't know why.
It's a great little thing.
I know. I love prawn toast. Prawn toast is great.
Someone attributed it to London Chinese food.
Did they?
I'd believe that because it feels like more of like a Cantonese thing, and it feels like the Cantonese presence here is greater.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Prawn toast has been kind of phased out, and it's been like on every menu here. I should have gotten one.
Yeah. Well, next time. And what about British food? Like in terms of traditional British food, you guys come over. You're American. You're a New Yorker. Are there any things you like to like? Have you had a
I love it here. All the food has been great. I mean, obviously, like you guys get a lot of unfair crap about British food being bad, but it's such like a. Well, one, the British food here I think is great, and two, it's like an amazingly global city, obviously, with tons of cuisines from all over the world. Like the Turkish food is done here in a way that is like you would never find in New York.
Unbelievable. Right?
Yeah, it's great, and even like the Chinese food in Chinatown here, like going to like Noodle Inn or like. Getting dim sum here, like it's just like slightly different and done in a really great way.
Yeah.
And then of course like the British classics, fish and chips and Sunday roast have been doing, and those are great too. I love that kind of stuff. So
can I just ask, Americans, I don't want to generalize, but have a real issue with baked beans. And they reduce British cuisine to the fact that we put baked beans on our breakfast, seemingly. Like that was at Wimbledon, the American player Ben Shelton. He did a whole rant about it. I was like, it's not meant to be on a full English anyway. No. Some people put it on, whatever. But do you know anything about what's so wrong with it?
I think we're kind of surprised. I have to admit, my first encounter with baked beans was a little confusing because I worked at 11 Madison Park for a long time, and we used to do these things called legends, which is like this kind of bespoke, unique experience that's like off the cuff for somebody. So we heard there was a British guest in the kitchen or in the dining room. And they were, I guess, had been living in the States for some time, pining for a taste of home. And the dining room come back to us, and they're like, "Oh, we got to do something like homey for this British person." And I worked with a lot of British chefs back then. They're like, "Oh, we got to do beans on toast." And I was like, "All right, what do we do?" And then just like pop a can of beans on toast. I was like, "That's it." And they're like, "Oh, it's the best, mate." And I was like, "All right." Like so. Everybody's got their comfort foods. You don't have to justify. You don't have to defend yourself.
That's the kind of 3 Michelin star stuff we're after.
Exactly. Yeah.
You obviously grew up in a restaurant, as you were saying earlier, when you were a child, around a restaurant. Were you ever put to work doing odd and sods jobs?
Oh, big time.
What were you doing?
Yeah, I mean that's the whole business model. The free child labor.
Yeah.
Well, actually, so as you mentioned, I was a cellist growing up, so classical music is like a key part of the Asian American experience.
Yeah.
Obviously wasn't allowed to hurt my hands, so I wasn't allowed to cook.
My mother in case you got injured.
Yeah, my mother was like, she was really set on me becoming a cellist, and wanted to protect my hands. I wasn't allowed to play sports, all that kind of stuff. So, but obviously the restaurant has its needs, and so I would do all the takeout orders, the phones, and bussing tables and serving people, and I grew up in that restaurant, and but people are always like, "Oh, do you you must have grown up cooking?" I was like, actually, not at all. No. I wasn't allowed to cook at all. Right. And I picked all that stuff up later on when I started cooking, in my 20s.
Well, she must have been gutted that you got expelled then. What happened there?
She was
what happened?
very upset. I almost ran away from home that day. I was like, I can't go home. She's going to murder me.
Home. Yeah. Right.
I mean, I just was such a delinquent in high school. I just hated going to class. And Juilliard was just this kind of thing where they, all the kids there were just so focused and driven. They didn't need to be disciplined, It's obviously they're at Juilliard. They're we don't got to worry about them. They're super focused, good students. And I was an outlier, obviously. And you put a 17-year-old kid in the middle of New York City with no supervision. And I was like, I'm going to go do whatever I want. And I just never went to class. And eventually that caught up to me, obviously. And they're like, yeah, you can't graduate. You haven't been to class for the last semester. So, and then finally, obviously my mother found out. And then I almost ran away from home that day. I was like, I'm never going back. It's just going to cut my head off. Yeah. So that was, I still carried on playing the cello for another year. I went to university, Northwestern University, as a cellist, but then I retired.
Yeah. Well, did you ever whack it out now? Because it's quite a nice escape.
I do now. So really? I picked it up again after a 15-year breakup. So I quit when I was 18, and then I started playing again when I was 31. And it was actually because of 11 Madison Park. For some reason they were. It's kind of a convoluted story, but they were like, we want you to play for the entire staff. Had it as a team enrichment thing, and we'll talk about, the connections between art and music and art and cooking. And I was at that time it's okay, we chef, whatever you say. And I just picked up the cello again, kind of on a whim, and now I kind of enjoy it. Now it's when you don't have the pressure of I have to be the best at this. This has to be my life.
Yeah.
It's kind of more fun.
It can become a pleasure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You'd have been rewarded with great food for helping out with the restaurant, though. So what were the dishes you were like eating when you were growing up? You were loving eating.
Oh man, the sesame chicken. I don't know if do you guys have that here in the same way?
I think we do, Benny.
Yeah.
Come on, do all the eggs.
Talk me through it.
I was looking through for it on the menu, and I kept seeing Prontos. And I was like,
what's wrong with these people?
So sesame chicken is fried chicken. It's fried chicken in a Chinese manner. So it has like a cornstarch base batter mostly, and like it kind of straddles this weird line between like crispy and like gummy.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of a strange thing. It's a strange texture.
Would the texture be in the crispy shredded beef category or not?
Yeah, kind of like on the edges, right?
Okay,
and then it's like because it's these big chunks of chicken, and then like Americans are obsessed with white meat, so it's just like these big breast pieces that are like kind of gummy and doughy in the center, but have these crispy edges. So it's like, not crispy in the way like our fried chicken is crispy. And then it's just this like incredibly ketchup-y sauce.
Oh,
it's
really?
very like sweet and sour, tomato based.
Yeah.
And
well, maybe we have sweet and sour chicken.
Yeah,
like
it's similar to that. It's very similar to that, but
sure
I would say it's even more like tomato forward.
Right. Okay.
And like that's it. Like it's just it's like something a kid would love, right? Yeah, and like it's like what I craved all the time. And like I was when I was a kid, I was like in the hospital, I was sick, and like for like 4 or 5 days, that's like immediately what I craved, right? And that's like such like a core memory. So that's why I grew up eating, and it's why I was quite an overweight child. It's like ate a lot as a kid, ate a lot in the restaurant, and Chinese parents, they just like every 15 minutes asking you, are you hungry? And it's just
sounds amazing. You did a great video recently on how to achieve sort of restaurant standard Chinese or Taiwanese food at home, like through using stuff. Like, what are a couple of the secrets? If people are going to be whacking out their woks this weekend.
I think, all right, so I think people are obviously like a little intimidated by like Chinese cooking at home, right? Because it feels like this, like, obviously it's like a endless well of, possibility. And like, but like just start with like the bare basics, right? Like, you don't need to get this like crazy carbon steel wok that your grandmother seasoned for 100 years, like you can just get a nonstick wok and just start from the basics. Like, it's very forgiving, and like you can still cook great food with it. So, and then after that, it's just about building the pantry. And then once you build the pantry, you're kind of understanding the main basics between, like, I would say, obviously, the vegetable aromatics like ginger, scallion, and garlic. Like, you're gonna, if you keep playing with those, you're gonna understand how they interplay and like when to use what. And then the seasoning part, I think, is the thing that's very different from Western cooking is the use of sugar. I think. In Western cooking, for the most part, you don't season things with just straight up white sugar or rock sugar. It's not common. But sugar, you need it in Asian cooking, especially Chinese cooking, to balance soy sauce. Because like soy sauce on its own is like a little overpoweringly salty and umami, so the sugar's there to balance it. And so if you kind of learn that basics of soy sauce, sugar, and vinegar, and sometimes sesame oil, once you learn to balance that, then you really start. Then you're cooking. Then you can start. Then you got to get the knife work down. Okay, I guess it does sound pretty intimidating. It's like kind of a lot of stuff. But it is, start simple and work your way up,
What are the sort of the health of Chinese takeouts in America right now? You've written a Substack about the political beef between China and America and how that may have an impact on... I mean, have you seen that on the streets? Are people worried about that? Or?
Well, all right. So China... Yeah. Obviously, American politics are a bit problematic at the moment, and... China is kind of the big bad now. It's the Soviet Union of the modern era. And I would say the number one thing most affecting it is just the aging out of Chinese operators. Like my mother's generation, coming over and opening a restaurant was their key to this American dream that they believed in, and that was a huge part of how America developed from like the 70s onwards. Even earlier so with the Cantonese immigration, but a second wave during the 70s. And those people are aging out, and those people wanted their kids, like me, my mom wanted me to go to an Ivy League school and to never look at a restaurant again, to never work in one again, because it's hard work, it's low paying, and it's like didn't offer the kind of stability that they wanted for their children. So now their kids are not taking up their businesses, and they're aging out. My mother's like, in her 70s. And, she's unusual in that she's still gunning for it every day. She has a ton of energy. It's really admirable. But, of course, there's tons of people who are like, can't stand behind a wok every day. Like, I'm not doing that anymore. So now the Chinese American restaurant is kind of dying out. And it's, you know, I've seen it. You know, my mother used to have this like circle of like 5-6 competitors, and now there's only 2 of them.
Why, really?
And you know, that's been good for her.
Yeah,
She's
right,
like,
right.
you know, like her business has actually only improved over the years, which is amazing. And but like, I'm not sure what happens next, because this next generation of Chinese American chefs like myself, like, we're kind of doing different things, you know. And obviously from like a political standpoint, I mean, it was probably most heightened during COVID. I mean,
of course.
you know, when I was growing up, MSG was like a big thing. Everyone was like scared of MSG and Chinese restaurant syndrome, and kind of this, you know, what all turned out to be pretty bunk science, and, you know, but extremely pervasive. Like people now still have immense fears of MSG.
It's hard to shake, right? I mean,
it's
like,
so sticky.
Even though you only have to Google it, and the internet's full of everyone explaining away that there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's just a racist thing,
Yeah,
but, like,
but
people
you know,
can't shake it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the internet has proven that people, you know, they read what they want, and
True, right,
they, you know, they pick and choose the science they want to understand. You know, and so that, you know, subsided a little bit, but it's still around. I mean, it's still something I deal with like all the time. And yeah, during COVID, obviously, you know, there was this during the first Trump presidency, during you know, branding China as this kind of enemy where the virus came from, and like, yeah, that year was really, really hard, and was really hard for my mother's business, and thankfully she survived it. But, you know, Chinatown, where I have a restaurant now in Manhattan, it was devastated. It doesn't look at all the same as it did in 2020 or before the pandemic, you know, because all those older operators, they suffered a huge drop in business, and then, you know, they're in their 60s and 70s. They're like, what am I supposed to do? Start over? Like, that's what happened with Pecking House, where Pecking House started. You know, we did the Pecking House thing, did the fried chicken thing. And then, you know, the pandemic's starting to subside, and, you know, we're kind of figuring out what we want to do. And, you know, my uncle's in his 70s too. He's like, I don't know if I have the juice to reopen this thing. You know, it's a monster to like restart everything, rehire, you know, redo all the inventory. So we said goodbye to Pecking House.
We should say, for the dyslexic fans, including myself, Pecking House is your uncle's restaurant. Which was in Queens, right?
Yes.
And then Pecking House is your restaurant, which is in Chinatown, Manhattan.
Yeah. I'm so sorry, guys. Yeah. It's like, you know, I never thought this was going to be my life. So, like, when a stupid pun of a name was suggested, I was like, sure. Like, you know, like, we can ride with this for 2 months. Like, you know, that's all it'll be. And 5 years later, here we are. So I have to explain it every single time. But, yeah. Pecking House was my family's first restaurant in the United States. And then, you know, I hadn't really been involved with it for a super long time, and then pandemic happens, and then started doing this fried chicken thing. And
well, we're going to get into that probably in a second.
Yeah.
But firstly, obviously Dave's has come over here. Dave's Hot Chicken.
Yeah.
It's called.
Yeah.
And it's caused a bit of a stir, right? Like, it's doing well.
Is it doing well? I think it's doing well.
I think it's doing well.
I think all the American fried chicken chains are coming over. Popeyes is pretty recent.
Popeyes and
Wingstop.
Wingstop, you're obsessed with.
Wingstop's been
Chick-fil-A's
thriving
coming.
For a while.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think you're getting.
But we're going to get you over here permanently. That's my point.
I would love to, yes.
Okay.
But I'm not quite in the same
Can we do some
weight
business
class.
deals, Ben? Can we introduce them?
Why don't we look at a little franchise agreement? Why don't we get something inked up while
you
we're
know,
in
let's
here?
talk.
Yeah.
I would love to. I'm obviously in a very different weight class than the Chick-fil-A's and the Dave's Hot Chickens.
Yeah, you got better chicken. So
thank
that's
you.
a good thing.
I wish that was you know, the clear determinant of who wins, but unfortunately it's not. Yeah.
I know it's only 10 a.m., but we traditionally offer something. Ben?
We've just got a little stock of our Heppel Negroni here. Is that too aggressive for
Well,
10
it's quite
a.m.?
aggressive.
I can't probably start the day.
Yeah.
I still have to go cook after
He's
this.
got to cook.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to make it better.
Oh,
well, we'll pretend
classic
to have
drunk
Let's
show.
say we're going to have a Heppel Negroni
with
ice,
Yeah.
but we're not going to actually have it.
yeah.
No, well, yeah. We'll have it for the sponsor.
Yeah, was it?
We'll have it for the sponsor. Well, I mean, I'll have a small one.
I was going to have a small one.
Yeah, just have a small one.
You were looking at me like I'm a fucking idiot. But I was
no, we will keep everyone happy.
What are we always drinking here?
Well, we are going to ask. Code 2 cocktail.
You
What
guys
you
go
are
for
drinking?
it.
What are you having?
So I actually don't drink anymore. I you know, was very stereotypical.
Well, then we're definitely not going to make you have one. that would be appalling.
I mean, it's not like something I'm like, you know, against or have a problem with necessarily.
No.
Like, I'll have a sip of something now and then just to, like, you know, taste it. But, and like, you know, don't judge or anything. Like, you know, obviously I had a very.
You don't judge people at 10 a.m. having a Negroni.
No, I know. I totally get it.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously I had a very, like, stereotypical party chef life for a very long time. And that's why I, you know, made the decision to stop. But basically, like,
smart move.
Yeah, I mean, after running a fried chicken restaurant for, like, 3 years, my cholesterol was, like, horrendous. Like, above 300. Like, ridiculously bad.
You nearly completed it.
Yeah, exactly. I almost took it to the end, you know? And then, you know, doctor was like, you got to stop this. And then,
I would say most chefs who come on have stopped drinking.
Yeah?
We
Yeah,
speak with.
100%.
I mean, I think at some
just
point...
the podcasters. Still going.
Just those clinging on.
Well, he gets to, have a little bit of a healthier lifestyle outside of it, I hope.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, if you want to make it in decent shape past, like, the really brutal phase of cooking, then, like, I think you really got to make some different decisions.
100%.
And then, so I didn't know this, but, like, like, your cholesterol, like, alcohol is, like, is not great for your cholesterol. I didn't know they were related at all. And so that was the first thing I cut out. And then, now my cholesterol's good. But after 3 months of not drinking, I thought I was going to go back to it. And then the next time I had a drink, I just, like, felt awful.
Yeah, right.
And, like, my body had just, like, forgotten how to process it.
Well, we are going to get into those dark days of you partying during during the Michelin star days.
Yeah.
But before we do, when you did used to drink, and we'll ask everyone this, what was your hangover cure?
Oh, man. So, I mean, you guys are familiar with the bacon, egg, and cheese. That's like, the New York sandwich. I mean, you need to get a bacon, egg, and cheese or a sausage, egg, and cheese. And then what makes it super gross on my end is adding avocado and adding mayonnaise and adding ketchup. So it's just like layering on more and more fat.
Yeah.
Completely unnecessarily.
Some of them good fats. Most of them.
Yeah, the avocado, I don't know, is having a hard fight against the bacon and the mayonnaise.
But at least it's in there.
Yeah, and I really regret, like, I did an article for Eater telling them that was my bacon, egg, and cheese order, and I was like, this looks disgusting. Like, I just look like such a savage. But yeah, that was the hangover gear. That, a bag of jalapeno chips,
nice.
A Coca-Cola, and a coffee. And, doing that for hangovers, and then my cholesterol was over 300 when I was 37.
Well, we should say that today's episode is brought to us by our brilliant friends Blink, the UK-based legends turning the POS game on its head. There are no long-term contracts, no hidden fees, no per device charges. We're going to try and get them out to New York into your restaurants, and I know you're going to be interested in this because if you run a restaurant like you do, you know how painful traditional POS systems can be.
Very much
they can be clunky, they can be slow, worst of all expensive, but Blink is different, Ben. It's the first POS that needs zero training. Your team can be up and running in minutes. It's built for real hospitality workflows and costs just £49 a month for unlimited devices across your restaurant and 24/7 UK support, while others charge £300, about $423 if I'm just doing it in my head. Save money, no stress, no tech headaches, and use the code GOTOBLINK with a Q to get your first month free. And also, as the listeners will know,
come on, share your worst.
We're running a competition for people to send in their worst stories in the kitchens, their nightmare days, getting abused, nearly dying, whatever it may be. We've had some great ones sent in.
Horrific stuff, yeah.
And if you send in your story and it's a good one, we're gonna give you a chance to win a year's free worth of Blink. So send that stuff in. After scraping through university, obviously leaving the Juilliard music school.
Yeah.
How did your parents take the decision when you came up to them again and said, "I want to be a chef"?
I think my mother didn't take me seriously at first. She was like, "No, you don't. You remember how hard this was growing up and how hot the kitchen was." Because I didn't really love working in the restaurant as a kid, especially like doing what I was doing. Thank you. With the takeout orders, I'm talking about the days where taking an order on the phone, handwriting it, and then looking on a paper map where to drive.
Where you gotta go,
Yeah. Those days were tough. And she thought there's no way. Like you were so soft about working in restaurants earlier. I was like, I'm gonna prove it to you. So I think it took a while, but I think when I finally started working in a Michelin star kitchen, she's like, okay, he's like pretty serious about it.
Why? What was it that made you think that is going to be the path I go down?
Well, I mean, this was like a very special time in like where cooking was, right? Like, the craze of celebrity chefs and Anthony Bourdain is like, it's at its apex in like 2005, 2006, right? And like, you were just being flooded with like, all these rock star chefs, and like, that romance, like obviously, like, really swept me away. And I always loved food, and I always loved being in restaurants, even though I complained about it a lot. But compared to like a life as a cellist, which is so lonely, you're literally like in a dark practice room by yourself for hours and hours a day. I hated that. And the energy of a restaurant was always like the best part. Is just like, it's always got people, it's always got things going on. And then I just kind of fell in love with this idea of cooking, and I probably bit off more than I could chew at first, but, we eventually got there, and I think that's when she actually became quite supportive. So.
Yeah, right.
When you left culinary school and you joined Café Beloud, you're getting your body and your mind ready for 12 years of abuse, emotionally and physically, but also some highs, I'm guessing. But what was it like walking into that kitchen for the first time? You say you spent hours in a dark room by yourself, and then suddenly the magic of And the craziness of the
Yeah,
kitchen.
yeah, yeah. So I swapped the dark room for just a basement with fluorescent lighting, but and with like a bunch of psychopaths. But oh man, Cafe Balut was tough. I mean, that was like my wake up call. Yeah. Is like I had been doing some cooking in my college town in Chicago, so like small town restaurants, and and then did culinary school, so I had a bit of an ego on me, thinking like, oh, I know what I'm doing. Culinary school was like top of my class, whatever, and then just got like the shit kicked out of me at Cafe Balut, working under Gavin Kaysen, like the first time like understanding what level of urgency and discipline and execution is required at that level. And yeah, it was absolutely terrifying. And I kind of unfortunately got a battlefield promotion like within the first week. Like I was, usually you get eased into it being a commis, shucking peas and like, kind of getting a feel for the kitchen. But like, this guy on soup station just got like violently ejected from the station for, going down. And then it was just like, you're the soup cook now. And I was like, what? Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I never used an induction burner before, like boiling over all my shit. Like it was crazy. And I would just, I mean, this is not really how it's done anymore, but back in those days, it was like you're sneaking into the restaurant as early as you can to get as much mise en place done as possible, right? So, like, I was working the morning shift. We weren't supposed to be there until, like, 7, but, like, I'm showing up at 5 because I'm like, I can't get it all done. Yeah, so it's, like, pitch black outside, and I'm, like, standing outside the hotel service entrance. I just remember all the time just, like, sweating bullets and just, like, needing to will myself to go in. Like, oh, God, I can't do this. And, like... And then just like, one of the overnight porters like finally opening a door and like being like, all right, just go. And then just forcing myself to go in and just sheer terror and panic all the time for, 12 hours a day and then leaving and then just like collapsing on the couch and just doing that over
Same thing the next day. Yeah.
I mean, it really hardened me. I'll say that. And like, it was an important experience to have, but an extraordinarily unpleasant one.
Is it like Stockholm syndrome? You just can't leave.
Man, I think there's definitely a little bit of that with fine dining, especially at that time, right? Like, I mean, 2011, 2012, like, the Michelin Guide, our, America's belief in fine dining at this time is at its absolute peak. There's only 6 restaurants in America that matter. It's the Laundry per se, Le Bernardin and, Danielle. And, like, you have to work at these restaurants, right? Yeah. That's, like, was the attitude at the time. And so, working at a 1 Michelin star at Cafe Balut, I was like initially kind of disappointed. I was like, oh, I wanted to work at a 3 Michelin star restaurant, but that's where I got the job. And, and then got the shit kicked in. And then, I couldn't handle it at all. But it was great in the sense that I think in a 1 Michelin star kitchen, I actually did get the opportunity to cook. Yeah. Whereas in a 3 Michelin star kitchen, the commis are often picking herbs and cleaning refrigerators with Q-tips and shit like that, So it's like, it was a great education, but it was horrific in a lot of ways too. So I was
still quite physical from the chefs then. I mean, apparently it was. We've spoken to a lot of Michelin star chefs in London. People who went over worked for who was it, Sellers and that kind of. No, not Sellers. What's his name? Keller.
Yeah.
Sir Thomas
Keller.
Yeah. It was quite terrifying going to work every day.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, unfortunately, yes. I mean, I wouldn't say Cafe Balut was like that. I have a lot of appreciation for Gavin Kaysen, but at the 3 Michelin star level, at 11 Madison Park, and a lot of my peers who worked around 3 Michelin star kitchens, like, it was still a bit of violence, which is kind of a crazy thing to say in 2025, right? It's like, that there was the threat of physical violence in your workplace is kind of crazy, right? That's really not okay now, but 15 years ago, it was pretty acceptable.
But was there any way to like do anything about it? I mean, when you saw it, when you were a victim to it, or did you just have to keep your head down? And
I mean, there's really only 2 ways to handle it. You eat it and you stay, and like you just kind of convince yourself this is what you need to do. This is the hazing you need to experience. This is your SEAL training, your Navy SEAL training that you have to endure. Or you flip out and you leave. It's like one or the two. I've seen both, and like I've seen people just couldn't take it anymore, left all their knives, tools on the board, walked out. We never saw them again. Yeah, right. And it's like, it's one or the other. And like, there's no middle ground. You're not changing the culture of this immense beast, right? Like, this is what they believe in and this is the operation. And in some regard, you do accept the fact that you signed up for it and you can choose to stay or leave. And that was very common. I would say, I'm sure you guys have heard it a lot. Every 3 Michelin star chef de partie at some point is like, they were given the ultimatum. It was like, if you don't like it, then fucking leave. Yeah. And it's like, you're always I mean, that's not a great mindset to have as like a work culture, but it's hard to argue with because you did choose this, right? So it's just a matter of how long you want to do it and how long you're able to convince yourself that this is what you have to do.
But when you see someone leave, do you have to like numb yourself to the reality of what you've just seen? Do you know what I mean? Because you can't have to take a side.
Yeah, I mean, I wish, I wish I could say like, I don't know. It was a very strange mentality to straddle because like on the one hand, yes, you're like, this is crazy, right? Like this is not acceptable. From in a vacuum, zoomed out, like it's crazy. But you're also in it, and you're also participating in it. So to some degree, you need to believe in the system of what you're doing to survive every day. So you have to like almost convince yourself, like, oh, that guy wasn't tough enough. Yeah. He wasn't hard enough. He couldn't handle it. Yeah. You know, just because you need that like semblance of pride to hang on to because that's what you need to survive. Yeah. You know, so it's not the best mindset to have, but it's hard to straddle the like this is absurd, but I am participating.
I've opted into it.
Yeah, so I need to believe in something about it.
But having now been through 1, 2, 3 star kitchen, like, do you look at Michelin now and go like, this is fucking ridiculous?
Well, I think especially now, I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, the Michelin Guide still is venerated in Europe in a way that it is not in the United States.
Oh, really? Is it lost its...
I think so, right? Because, like, I mean, it has come out very clearly that, one, the Michelin Guide operates in complete secrecy, right? Like, nobody knows how they do anything.
No. Well, the guys in suits with MBAs.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like, they've hired Accenture, you know, consulting firms, you know, to figure out how to turn this into a for-profit business. It's kind of become corrupted by... you know, the very nature of its, you know, capitalist intent. And, you know, now it's very infamous that there's cities that their departments of tourism will pony up, you know, how many millions of dollars to get the guide to come in. And then, you know, I have friends who have gotten stars, obviously, and I think it's an amazing achievement and it's been great for their careers. But, like, if you're getting 2 stars right off the bat, you know, when you're a 6-month-old restaurant, like that's kind of crazy, right? Like, you don't even know what you are yet when you're 6 months old as a restaurant. That's like, you know, trying to take a standardized test when you're like at 9 years old. You know, it's like, so it's like, what is the guide really doing then? It's just honoring places that they think should be. And obviously that's like a focus then, you know, that becomes on just a very certain kind of restaurant, which is like a Western fine dining, tablecloth, you know, old world wine list kind of restaurant. So I'm not as into the guide anymore. But obviously, you know, when I was in the system, that is like the hope I clung to all the time, right? Like my goal before Pecking House was I'm going to open the first 3 Michelin star Chinese restaurant in the United States. Yeah. That was like what I told myself every morning to give myself the motivation to go to work. And to break that mantra and to change my mindset took the entire pandemic and all this fried chicken, you know, to kind of shift me away from that. And it's extraordinarily difficult.
We are going to get to the build-up and what that creative restaurant would have looked like. But quickly, Gramercy Tavern afterwards, owned by the legendary restaurant Danny Meyer. Yeah. What was it like working for him? Was that a different kitchen, more enjoyable, less enjoyable than your first year out?
Like a full 180. And I think that's because I was so scarred from Café Bleu, which was like very classic French Brigade. Yeah. And I was like, I can't do that again. Yeah. But I still wanted to work in a Michelin star restaurant. And, you know, I had friends that worked at Gramercy Tavern, and, you know, I'd suggested it, and went to go work there for Mike Anthony, and it was honestly amazing. I look back on it, and that was probably the best line cook job I ever had. I don't think I appreciated it enough at the time. I was a little arrogant, a little intense, and kind of an asshole, and just extraordinarily, like, insecure and competitive, right? Like, wanted to prove I was better than everybody else, and wanted them to know it. Yeah. And, like, you know, that's like that's a viable way to operate in a Michelin star kitchen, but for that particular restaurant, that's not how they operate. You know, it's a very, you know, I say corporate, but that's not entirely an insult. You know, like they have an HR department, they have 401ks, they have health insurance. Like, that's not all bad things, but it does come with this kind of like softening of things. Like, I think my frustration with it at the time was I didn't feel like everyone was held to a high enough standard, and there wasn't the intensity I wanted. So I was a bit of a prick, but I learned so much about cooking there, and I have so many good memories of cooking there, and still have like a lot of really great friends from there. And I think I would come to appreciate it when I eventually went to 11 Madison Park. I was like, oh, I kind of miss like, you know, this kind of like softer, gentler approach to cooking. But, you know, both were integral to my journey.
What kind of food? What were some of your favorite dishes from there?
Well, so I mean, I think the best part of Gramercy Tavern was like it was quite improvisational. You know, a lot of whole animal cookery. I mean, stuff that everyone takes for granted now, which is like, you know, sourcing from small farms, whole animals. You know, cooking from the market. You know, at the time, Gramercy Tavern was the vanguard.
Kind of ahead of that.
Yeah. You know, because it was so close to the Union Square Green Market, and now everybody does that. But you know, they were the originals, and it was very simple. I mean, especially the Tavern was my favorite. So it has two dining rooms. There's the main dining room. There's the Tavern. The Tavern's one of the best dining rooms in New York City. It's just such an amazing energy, got classic New York feel, and there's this giant wood-burning stove and just plumes of fire. It's awesome. And as a cook, you are literally building your own fire and cooking on that thing all day, and the menu changes all the time. Like, you know, this is what we have, this is what we're doing. Oh, the charcuterie is going to make like a duck meatloaf or something like that. And you're just cooking, and it's like, it's not a lot of like focused mindset to it. It's the exact opposite of like of 11 Madison Park, where we R&D the same dish for like months on end and like focus it in. It was just like, this is what we have. Let's figure something out. And I love that. And, you know, obviously cooking on live wood fire, it kind of, if you do it right, can make everything like really magical.
Yeah.
And, you know, and it could be something as simple as like, you know, a hamburger. And it was like really like, you know, hey, we got this like, you know, Wagyu steer in, we got half a cow. You know, the Garmercy's got all their beef tartare already. Like, let's turn this round, you know, bottom round into a burger. And it's like amazing, you know, like, you know, this is before everybody had a Wagyu burger, you know, it's like, and it's like, it was, and then you're cooking it on live wood fire. The baker's like, all right, I'll make a potato bun today. Like, that's awesome. Like, I love that. I love that kind of shit. So like looking back on it, I have such like good memories of it. And I regret being a bit of a dick, like at the time. But I learned a lot about cooking there, and it made me, you know, it's a huge part of my foundation of like, the chef, you know, I think I've become.
But you couldn't shake that need to go into a 3 Michelin star, though.
I needed it, you know. I think I always wanted it when I was in culinary school, and I'd convinced myself, like, you know, if you're going to be a chef, you got to be the best. If you want to be the best, you have to work at the best restaurant in the world. So that was what eventually, you know, pushed me to seek a place out like 11 Madison Park. I trailed at every 3 Michelin star restaurant. Well, not at Deliberated End, but at every 3 Michelin star restaurant in New York, you know, looking for that quest, that itch I needed to scratch to prove to myself that, like, you know, I could do it. And that's how I ended up there. And I guess I proved it.
Well, you were sous chef when it won the world's sort of best restaurant, I believe. Mm-hmm. But how tough was it there? I mean, we spoke with the Michelin star chef, I believe last week it was now, who said that when he was running the pass, he went in one day, was so stressed out, was so overworked, that he was essentially having a heart attack. But he had to work through it. Like, like, unbelievable. No other job in the world would you work through kind of a heart attack. Did you ever have any similar experiences? Or?
I had almost that exact experience. You know, so I am working on a book, actually. I just signed a book deal. So
nice.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So working on a memoir, and you know, the opening chapter is about, like, you know, EMP hospitalized me. The day we won the best restaurant in the world, I was in the hospital.
Really?
Yeah, I was.
What happened?
So, 11 Madison Park had a very famous dish. It was the celery root en vessie. So it was a celery root ball poached in a pig's bladder. You know, it was a play on the poulet en vessie that Paul Bocuse does. And, you know, that was his most famous dish at the time. And, you know, you have to carve this celery root, the celeriac, into a perfect sphere. And, like, obviously, like, it takes forever. Like, each ball is, like, 7 minutes. And, like, EMP is a very busy restaurant. You need, like, 200 balls a day, you know, to get through. Everyone gets one. So, obviously, it's, like, crowdsourced, right? Like, everybody has to do 5, and you have to, you know, it's the first thing you do. You're not allowed to go onto your prep list until you turn in your celery root balls, and they pass inspection. They have to be 30 to 35 grams, and they have to be perfectly round and polished. And, like, you're not allowed to go onto your prep list until you finish that.
I feel the panic rising already.
Yeah.
You get anxious.
Yeah, every day we were just, like, coming in, we were like, oh my god, and we, like, race to the celery root, like, fight each other for the best ones, and, like crank it in the beginning. And if, like, you're really good, you can do, like, one ball every 6 to 7 minutes. So, like, the first half hour is just, like, you are going. And, like, my heart rate was just jacked, you know? Like, I wasn't sleeping. I was drinking probably, like, 7 cups of coffee a day.
Yeah.
And my heart rate would just be fluttering like crazy, and it wouldn't come down until, like, probably, like, 8 or 9 p.m. I thought it was normal. You know, I was just like, oh, yeah, I'm just in shit. You know, that's what it is. And then, you know, I went to the routine physical checkup, and I just, like, kind of mentioned it offhand to my doctor, and he was like, I didn't think it was a big deal, but he was like, no, that's a huge problem. And then he ordered me this heart monitor, and I had to wear a heart monitor for a week. And then I was just like, oh, he's overblowing it. Like, it's not a big deal. And then, he shows me the data the next time I check in with him, and he's like, your heart rate is at like 160 BPM for like 7 to 8 hours a day. And it starts at 2. I was like, oh, that's when I start celery balls. And, and like, it doesn't come down until then because it's just a mad push until like the last turn, getting set up, cooking everything. It's just insane. And then it turned out, he's like, I mean, obviously this is not normal. And he's like, you have a heart condition and it's being extremely exaggerated by your work. And I was like, yeah, but like, I'm not going to like die or anything. He's like, yeah, but you could faint. And it's like, do you want to faint into the stove? Do you want to faint while you're carrying a knife? It's like, don't you feel like you're fainting throughout the day? I'm like, yeah. It's like, that's normal, right? So, eventually they were like, no, you have to fix it. And it was like, they're like, you're 30 years old. Like, just get the surgery, get it fixed. You don't want to be on meds for the rest of your life. So I got a cardiac ablation, which is basically like they snake a wire up your leg and they basically burn some of the nerve endings so that like it doesn't loop like crazy. So that's what I was getting done on the morning. We won the best restaurant in the world, and then I came out of the operation, woke up, and that year the awards were in Sydney. Yeah. So it's like 4 or 5 in the morning in New York. And my mates are calling me. They all stayed up all night to watch the ceremony, and they're like FaceTiming me and like waving number 1. And my phone was on mute because like I had a roommate in the hospital. Yeah. And like at the time it didn't hit me at all like this is crazy. I was just like, oh, like I finally did it. Like I finally worked at the best restaurant in the world, not realizing like this almost fucking killed me. Killing me. And it was like had that exact experience, and that's what it was like all the time. It was just like you're so panicked that you didn't realize that it was abnormal.
Yeah. How long post that did you then stay in the game there?
So that was 2017, and I stayed till 2020.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, like, that didn't really, that didn't exactly change my mindset.
Do you think you'd still be in there if it wasn't for COVID?
No.
Not that restaurant, but in
that kind of slice of the industry.
Well, yes. So I definitely had reached the end of the road with 11 Madison Park. I think I was
Daniel Cummey.
Yeah.
You can only spend a couple of years.
Bad things.
You can only spend a couple of years with them.
Yeah. I think I finally was at a point where my mind and my body couldn't handle it anymore.
Yeah, right.
And obviously I had been aching and itching to open my own restaurant forever. And so like right before like January 2020, I decided like, hey, well, I had already put in my notice a long time ago, but I had no idea how to open a restaurant, but I was like, I'm just going to figure it out. Like because I don't want to do this anymore, and I don't want to work for someone else anymore.
So that was going to be your next step, though.
Yeah. I mean, I thought maybe, I did a couple trails. Like I did a trail like Blue Hill, and like, I was like, do I still want to get back into this? I'm like, I can't work for another chef like that anymore. Yeah. Like I just like can't. I don't have it in me anymore. I just couldn't work for another person. So I wanted to open my own restaurant and try to figure that out. And, obviously January 2020, not great timing to try to open a restaurant. So I was I was cooking out of my mom's restaurant at the time, just like kind of trying to do this like fine dining things that I wanted to do out of her very like humble Chinese American restaurant. It's like 3 woks in a microwave.
Yeah. So that was your R&D setup.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like cooking for her customers and trying to gauge interest and try to fundraise and stuff like that. And then obviously the pandemic happens and my whole life changes. But yeah, I really, really wanted it. And I'm not going to say that I'm wholesale like against it now. Like if I had the opportunity to do a restaurant like that now.
There's still a big space for that, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. And I still, I miss it a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't really care for the external validation of the guide and Pellegrino, and like I don't need that, but I do miss working in a full service restaurant with a great team and
but it feels every chef we speak to who works in Michelin now post-COVID has said that the industry's changed so much that like people work normal hours, they're not fucking beaten up by their chefs. Yeah. It's changed.
Yeah, it's changed.
Seems like a nicer place to go back to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still close with a lot of the folks at Eleven Madison Park. Chef de cuisine, still a really great friend of mine, and he talks about it all the time how they're changing things. Yeah. It's like. The first step was allowing everyone to have facial hair. It's that was always we had to be clean shaven every day, like the military. Yeah. And then, it was kind of a small morale boost. Was like, all right, fine, we're not gonna.
You can have a little bit.
Only a small.
All right, have a bit.
I mean, I can't grow a beard, so it's not important to me. But I know to some men, it's extremely it's like their whole like their confidence comes from their beard.
100%. Or their moustache.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it looks great. It looks great, guys. It's not something I understand as an Asian man, but so that was like the small morale crack, and then it's just changed so much like since then. Like I think now they're even doing 4 days on, 3 days off.
Yeah, right.
And the sous chefs are working much more humane hours. I mean, I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but I hear they're getting paid way better.
Yeah.
And I mean, because the industry and the way COVID has completely upended everything, has forced owners and operators to be like, hey, if we want to retain people, we have to like treat them. It's not like what it was, where it's like, hey, I have 50 resumes waiting to come in. You know, it's like you really have to value the good people you have and treat them well. Yeah. So I think it's changing. I haven't stepped foot inside of like a Michelin star kitchen in a while, but I mean, from what I hear from everyone,
But also there are so many great restaurants you can go work in now, which may not be Michelin.
Yes.
That as you were saying, there are probably 6 places, and like in London, everyone goes like there were 5 places in London. You needed to try and get a job at one of those, otherwise you're never going to make it.
Yeah.
Whereas now you can go kind of work at some cool places. Which aren't Michelin.
Yeah.
But operating at a high level. Yeah.
I mean, every British chef I worked with back in the day, starting in 2015, it's like all of them had worked at Gordon Ramsay or the Lebanon.
Yeah.
And it was like that's where you had to go.
Or
exactly. Hibiscus. It was just like, and they were like brutalized there. And like the stories like. I think, I feel like I went through some shit for sure in America, but like the stories I would hear from British chefs, I was just like, Jesus Christ, you guys are like, this is draconic.
Well, the French are angry men.
Yeah.
They've set up an angry little system.
Must have been weird though, because I read about, in your Substack as well, your sort of views and looking at these white chefs in Michelin-star kitchens, disrespecting, misusing traditional Asian ingredients. And that kind of sparked back memories of like racial abuse when you were a child. So, like, what was that experience like? Because it feels like maybe it's changed a bit now, but back then it was weird.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to learn more about what like the Chinese immigrant experience is here. But in America, like America's a complicated place when it comes to racial politics and dynamics. Growing up in the 90s as a Chinese American male was not particularly pleasant in a lot of ways. It was a lot of it wasn't tolerant the same way it is, is better now in a lot of ways for high school kids. But there was a hard time and feeling like a lot of discrimination. That stuff is like really deeply coded to who I am. And so seeing that stuff when I eventually got into fine dining was hard for me. It was hard for it not to bother me. And, often I was the only non-white male chef, in the brigade. I was the only non-white male sous chef at 11 Madison Park for a long time. The only person in that room who wasn't a white person. And, it's kind of tough because when you're alone like that, like, obviously I wanted to be part of that world, and I'm like, got along with everybody really well on like a friendly basis and as chefs. But, there were little things that, I don't think they really understood about my experience, and there was not a lot of people for whom I could validate that with. Like using mushroom powder, right, instead of MSG, and being like, oh, we can't use MSG, we have to use mushroom powder. Like it would be difficult to explain to a Swiss chef, a French Canadian chef, like why that's like kind of bothersome to me. People kind of like smelling bottles of fish sauce and being like gagging,
Whoa,
being
so
like,
disgusting.
it's like, oh, this is gross. Like, like why are we using this? And then like, but obviously like it makes it, the dish delicious, and like, it's the most famous 11 Madison Park tomato dish seasoned with fish sauce,
Really?
And not allowed to use the word dashi, not allowed to use the word kimchi, on the menu, because like, it was just not how it was done,
Really?
Yeah. No.
I think it might be off-putting to a diner. What's the logic behind
that?
I
don't really know exactly what the logic was. I think it was there was a fear that it would be confusing to the diner, and like it wouldn't. And I think, to be less charitable, I think it just didn't really want to give credit,
Yeah, right.
to where the inspiration was.
The weird thing is,
in the dishes.
Yeah.
They're leaning heavily on those things to like.
Yeah,
give everything
so much.
Yeah.
Kombu, bonito, white soy, used in those kind of kitchens, and to be like, oh, we're just not going to call it what it is. We're going to call it turnip broth.
The weird thing is
like
if you go into anyone's cupboard now in London, or like anyone's fridge, like I would say the sort of Asian staple ingredients have overtaken.
Oh yeah,
the kind of traditional like your mustard, your apple cider vinegar, and your ketchup.
Everyone's got 3 misos.
Yeah. And like people are realizing this stuff is great, and I do think the conversation is changing.
Yeah.
But at that time, and kind of like echoing my beef with the Michelin Guide, is like it does focus on these like very Eurocentric restaurants, which, forgive me for saying, I feel like I'm getting kind of bored of. It's like they're all like, oh, everyone has A5 Wagyu, everyone's doing caviar, everyone's like, it's like, I mean, how many of these things can you do? It's like, I don't know who that guy is, and I'm sure he's a perfectly lovely guy, but he's like, his thing on Instagram was to eat at every Michelin star restaurant in the world. And it was just like, dude, like how much like caviar do you really like, and foie gras and like all this stuff do you really want to eat? But I mean, I don't know. Maybe people are still into it.
No, you're right.
I don't want to sit down for a 3-hour meal.
It's weird. We've even been to like an Indian Michelin star place, which had the same, or a Mexican whatever, which actually had the same dish as like an English one.
Yeah.
Because they kind of go like, what the staples? All right, pork chop, caviar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to hit you have to hit the
mark. Yeah, you have to hit the notes of luxury of what like everyone has agreed upon as luxury.
But you just give your version of it.
Yeah, exactly. And but yeah, I mean, I agree with the home cooking stuff. I mean, I think people are understanding more and more,
100%.
like, especially because I think the fun thing about Asian cooking is that it can be done so well inexpensively, right? Like, if you were like a classically trained chef, like has anyone ever made veal stock at home? Has anyone ever actually made demi-glace at home? You know what I mean? Like,
I really hope not.
Yeah, like that's like something that Bourdain wrote about in Kitchen Confidential. It's like, oh, this is how to up your game. Just make demi-glace. It's like, who the fuck is gonna make demi-glace? Like, it's like, oh, let me get 25 pounds of veal bones and roast them in my New York apartment. It's like, it's ridiculous. Like, but Asian cooking is like actually like so inexpensive and accessible because like what you need cornstarch to thicken a sauce made out of soy sauce vinegar and like maybe sesame oil. It's like anybody can do that, gochujang, whatever. Like that stuff I think people are really understanding is like the really great way to build flavor at home.
But even the invention of the wok was because they didn't have enough sort of combustible fuels.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
It's like I think China comparatively to Europe, which is just like didn't have a lot of combustible fuels. So it's like you have this pounded thin sheet of oil, metal that
nice and hot, quick.
Well, obviously everything changed in 2020 when you started working for your uncle. But what was the birth of the chicken? Like, obviously you walk into your uncle's place, you're helping out. But then how do you create the best chicken in the world? 10,000 people plus. Was it a waiting on a wait list to taste it? I mean,
completely accidental. So my uncle's restaurant had been closed for 6 months. The lockdown happened in March. It was September of 2020, and he had closed the entire time. He didn't have delivery and pickup in the same way my mother did, so he just wasn't really able to stay open. So wanted to help him out. And, was kind of poking around, clearing the cobwebs and such. And, looking at the pantry and looking at the equipment and, turn on the broiler and it just like sputters like violently. I'm like, okay, this is like a terrible idea. And then like, try the big Cantonese oven and it's like, oh my God, this thing's like a disaster waiting to happen, caked in like grease. But the fryers worked. And so I was like, okay, all right, so the fryers work. What can we do here? So, tested a couple things out, but, eventually landed on fried chicken. And like that recipe honestly just kind of came to me on the first try. It is almost, it almost hasn't changed at all since the very first time I've cooked it. Very, very small changes.
And were you using what was just in the restaurant, or did you?
I bought a chicken at the. I bought a kosher chicken at the Orthodox Jewish grocery store across the way.
Very New York.
And I just kind of like threw together some ingredients, and the chicken, the way of frying chicken is actually something I learned in culinary school, so I have to give them some credit. And then everything else just kind of like it just was one of those moments where the inspiration just kind of hit, and that's like what 15 years of training is like. People are always like, oh, like you got lucky. It's like, yeah, I did in a lot of ways, but I also trained for 15 years to be able to be able to do that, to be able to understand instinctively like what will taste good, and that just kind of came together. And then I know that, and then I always knew that I had to like deliver it to people because we were so far out in Queens, like the very end of the E train. And I know that delivering fried chicken is like a stupid idea. Like, objectively, it's like, why would you pick the thing that travels the worst? But it was the best recipe I came up with, and then it just took off from there. I was, again, I always thought this was gonna last like a month or two. I was just trying to help my uncle pay a couple months of rent, and then
you've done that.
And then it just kind of took off, and then I was just like, all right, well, I guess this is the thing now, and then we got to figure it out. So there have been various tricks to figure out how to make it travel better, and how do we operate. So But yeah, 5 years later, it's still with me.
I've been fascinated because like we've spoke to a lot of people in the UK who kind of went viral in that time. And but New York and America is a different scale. Like what that overnight sensational success. What did that feel like? How did that play out?
I mean, it was crazy. I think I'm kind of understanding it better now because now that the world is quote unquote normal, I realize how special and unusual that was.
Yeah.
I mean, at that time, right, everyone is like locked in their tiny apartment and bored and desperate for something interesting to come by in their life. And so my point being is that everyone's attention span is very focused.
Yeah.
So, Bao Ong, he was the editor-in-chief at Time Out New York at that time, which is, not a small publication, but not the hugest.
Yeah.
And just a small little, 500-word article about, hey, this chef is doing this fried chicken thing. And then everybody latched onto it, and it went crazy.
So how quickly was that initial article? Like, after you started doing it?
I started in September. They posted that article, mid-October, and then it was just
exploded.
Insanity from that. And, it became this viral waitlist chicken, and people were like, oh, what a genius marketing technique. I was like, that was an accident. Because I got flooded with all these orders, I didn't know how to control them because I was the only cook, right? There's no way I can meet 600 whatever, orders it was I got on that first day. So I was building the website. And it's the only control point was if you could password lock a page. So I was like, okay, I guess that's the only way I can do it. So I can control who I deliver to.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was like, okay, you gotta, I'm going to give out a password every week, for however many orders. And people were like, oh my God, password chicken. New Yorkers fucking love this shit.
Yeah.
They love the secrecy and the exclusivity. And I didn't know that.
Guessing the password for you.
Yeah, exactly. And they just love that kind of shit. Yeah. And that was not intentional and not something I understood at the time. It really was just that I needed to control the flow of orders. And then, that first day, when the article came out, my Instagram inbox flooded, hundreds and hundreds of messages. I was up till 4 a.m. sorting through all the messages. And it just kept rolling from there.
I was going to say, you must have got someone who's gone making you a ridiculous offer. Being I don't want to wait. How much can I pay? Did you get any of those?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they were just
Did you accept any of those?
I did not.
What was the craziest one you got?
Man, what was it? They were just they're I'll do anything. I'll come in from New Jersey. Can you meet me here? It's I'll tip you $200 or whatever. I'm I was I don't know, man. It's really hard to coordinate meeting you at 44th Street, by Port Authority, at this time, stuff like that. It was kind of crazy. And then, a lot of kind of, VIPs, if you will, were working their connections to try to get it and so on forth. And people would show up at the restaurant and I didn't do pickup for the beginning because it was only me. And they would just be showing up at the door and just being I want it. And I'm sorry, it's not really how this works. It's not a normal restaurant. And, it was just madness. And then the operation grew from there. And, just for a year, it was just full tilt. And then every publication picked it up over the course of that year. And it just kept growing and growing and growing.
In terms of the media and requests that started coming, what happened on that side? And how mad did that get?
Yeah, it got real crazy. Let's see. It went Time Out was the first one. And then the Times picked it up, which then it exploded after that. New Yorker picked it up. Esquire picked it up. A lot of local news channels. A lot of Chinese news channels. I got a Japanese news station came in, this full Japanese news crew. It was so funny. They were really, really nice. And I only seen it once, but it was a pretty hilarious segment. And then, it just kept, obviously Eater and The Infatuation picked it up. And then we just were doing all the food festivals, all the pop-ups. And then, the videos started happening. We did Munchie's video, and that's kind of what capitulated all this YouTube stuff.
Killed with Action Bronson, didn't he?
Yeah. That would happen much later on, but
was that fun?
It was great. He's an awesome guy, really extremely genuine, and he loves London. He did a lot of videos in London. He's just a really fun guy to hang out with, and he's exactly how he portrays himself. And that was because of the Munchies video. The producers put us in touch. So super
That's
fun,
awesome.
And just this crazy journey
What
that
a
I really
ride,
never intended. And here, now it's probably London.
Thank you so much for coming. We do have a couple more questions. Before we do, Ben, you always create something for the guests, something which is meant to be true to them in some way. What have you made?
Well, I've made something true to myself.
Oh.
No, what I've done. So, talking of the video with action.
Yeah.
When that came out, my wife was pregnant at the time, and she had the most terrible morning sickness. I couldn't really eat anything. And I was watching it, and she was over here, and she's like, "Could you make me that?"
Oh.
So the
chicken broccoli, yeah,
with
clear
rice.
sauce.
And so I was like, yeah, for sure. So I made it from the video.
Beautiful.
And it's like been on weekly rotation in our household.
Really?
Ever since. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I made it. I suspect, A, it's not going to be as good, and B, it's like deviated slightly because I now make it.
That's okay.
Without reference to you in the video.
Put your touch on it, you know, let it evolve.
I've made that.
Well, I'm looking forward to trying.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much.
Well, Ben, as you get that ready, what other dishes do you serve alongside the chicken? Like, obviously now your place in Chinatown.
Yeah.
Everyone wants the chicken, but what comes alongside it if you want it?
So I recently kind of retooled the menu a bit and to kind of lean more into like the Chinatown angle and cooking a la minute, and using the wok. So a big thing we do is, and we're doing it here in London right now, is stir-fried iceberg lettuce, because I think I think iceberg lettuce has a bad rap. People are like, oh, iceberg lettuce sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's actually really awesome, especially if you cook it in a wok, a little garlic, black pepper, chicken stock, season it up. And I think it's very surprising. I think people, are like, that's really fun. So we do that, and then what else are we doing? We sell a lot of fries, French fries, chicken salt fries. People love that. Cucumber salad, that kind of stuff, and then
any rice or not?
We're doing fried rice now. We're doing a turkey bacon fried rice. That's we used to do the dirty fried rice, which was super popular for a long time.
What was that?
That was our original side, the very first side dish. It was chicken liver puree, fried up really hard in like a wok, like kind of evoking like a Cajun dirty rice. And then from there we would cook it like a traditional fried rice. Toss it in a wok, jasmine rice, lots of Trinity, onion, green bell pepper, and celery. That was a really good dish. I think I want to bring that one back eventually. But yeah, just like kind of these Americana dishes where we put a little bit of like a Chinese American interpretation on it. And it smells great.
It does smell incredible.
Excuse the rocket.
Oh wow! Look at that. Yeah, nice. That looks delightful.
Well, the sauce, maybe need a little bit more.
Beautiful. Oh no!
Shit, bad Louis.
Wow! Right under the bus.
Yeah. Is it still working?
It's still working.
Still working. That's good.
Talk to me about my angles, Louis. Yeah, get in the game.
Yeah.
Get in the game.
Get in here.
Should have taken a different route.
No, I think it was a good route.
Yeah.
This
is for your family now.
This is it's on weekly rotation. Yeah.
Are your kids at a point where they're eating this kind of stuff?
He will go for it. Yeah, he prefers this to like sausages and stuff like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
He's a very cultured boy.
He's more in this game.
You're changing his British destiny.
Yeah.
Getting away from sausage rolls, chicken and broccoli.
Yeah, exactly. No, we're in the game now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you
have a taste.
All right.
Don't feel
yourself up.
All right.
What next? I mean, obviously you've created a wondrous world through your chicken. You've worked in the Michelin-star world. You're tempted to maybe bring back that fine dining Chinese idea.
Come on.
But what next? I mean, obviously you've mastered the art of chicken. So where do we go next?
Have I? I mean,
You
what is next? Well, I think I have a complicated relationship with this chicken. I think sometimes I wake up in the morning and I curse it and feel like I can never get rid of this thing, and it's my identity.
Yeah.
Kind of like a band that like always has to play the same hit over and over again. And then, other days we wake up and I'm incredibly grateful for it. I think today I'm feeling very grateful for it, and it's opened up so many opportunities for me. And we're gonna keep rocking this chicken all the time.
please keep rocking it.
Yeah, I'm gonna figure out how to. We still want it to grow in New York. We're still thinking about maybe doing it in London somehow if we can figure it out.
Oh yeah.
And still kind of want to get back to that kind of romantic cooking I was waxing poetic about with Gramercy Tavern, where you're cooking on live fire, spontaneous and improvisational, and focusing on Chinese American cooking like the way I'd love to do, but just without maybe the obsession on Michelin.
Yeah, right. Yeah, take it a bit easier.
Yeah.
What's
Great.
What's the scene like? Are there people offering money? Is there still that kind of like people will back you to open a thing now? Like, is there the demand there?
I'm not sure. There must be, right? Because New York just keeps opening luxury restaurant after luxury restaurant. And, to rag on my own city, they're all kind of doing the same thing. It's just like martinis, steak frites, and Caesar salad.
Yeah.
Like, every fucking menu is the same. And there's money flowing into that. Now, to be fair, that stuff does make money.
Yeah.
So I'll give them that. You know, like the chicken business is not so easy. People assume it is. It's really not.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There must be money out there. I just maybe don't know how to find it. My fundraising is, you know, I've been very lucky that, you know, I mostly went to like friends and families and friends of friends to you know, kind of slowly, you know, get the investment to build Pecking House, like little contributions here and there, like truly crowdsourced, crowdfunded. But, you know, there must be these people out there. I mean,
well, they can email us at hello@thegotopodcastcompany.com and we'll pass them on to you.
Yeah? All right.
For sure.
Yeah,
we can definitely get Danny Myers back in the game.
Yeah?
Or Jeremy King.
Sir Jeremy King, yeah, it could be interesting.
Sir Jeremy King.
Yeah. Well, not yet, but it's due.
Oh.
Yeah.
Eric, you've been absolutely incredible. Ben, this is delicious.
Thank you.
No wonder your kid's got such a big smile on his face.
He has got a big smile, yeah.
Delicious.
We should say you've been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in. We're going to finish with your go-to locations, which obviously are going to be New York-based.
Yeah.
Starting with your go-to weeknight restaurant. So nothing fancy, but you get an evening off. Where are you heading? Where are you eating?
Let's see. My wife and I go to it's a very classic American diner called Clark's.
Yep.
I don't know if it's the same thing that it exists here. It's like most of the diners in New York were started by Greek immigrants, and they have these menus that are like 30 pages long.
Yeah, nice.
And they cook everything from like London broil to broiled lobster to omelets, and like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's really hard. Those restaurants are like a dying art form, and it's really hard to find the ones that like they do everything really well. And that's like what Clark's is, and it's awesome. Like it's just like you want to get breakfast at 11 p.m. and it'd be awesome. Like it's really great. You know, if you want to just get a turkey club, it's great. You know, so like we probably go to Clark's. I don't know if you guys. I mean, is a Greasy Spoon in the same way like here? Like
no, well they'll close the doors at 2 p.m.
Yeah. Oh really?
Yeah. So you can't like. Well, maybe we don't have a similar thing.
What, all night eating?
Or just like a spot that does good stuff, kind of,
and like everything, like a comically large menu.
No.
I've always actually wanted to like stage in a diner and just see like how they do it.
Dude, that'd be tough. I remember watching a video with a woman who did that.
Yeah. Oh really?
Oh, and it just looked a nightmare.
It's crazy. It's like usually like one like 5'2" Guatemalan dude who's just like able to cook like literally 600 dishes.
Just beached everything.
Yeah. And they have pie and cake also. Like I don't know how they do it, but it's awesome.
And it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like it's great because like we don't have to know exactly what we want to eat, and we just show up and like there's a plethora of options. So that's probably
there's not many places like that in London. I mean, there's Polo Bar opposite Liverpool Street. That's the only place I can think of where they cook all day at Banquet.
Yeah, true.
But I don't know.
No, there aren't that many.
Yeah.
What about if you're having a blowout, celebratory supper, something very special? Where are you going?
Man, what have we done lately? Let's see. We did Cafe Carmelini for my wife's birthday. It was as jaded as I am about fine dining. It's like a very like classic, old school New York fine dining, but it was done so well.
Yeah.
My friend, the chef de cuisine there, Kyle, he does a great, really, really wonderful job. And like I thought I was like done with fine dining. I mean, I wanted to treat my wife and take her out.
Yeah.
But I was kind of going into it like, oh god, it's like a 4-hour meal.
Yeah, do I want this? Yeah.
But it was awesome. Kind of that old school New York City feel, the grand dining room.
Yeah.
The waiters in suits and Garridons and all this stuff. Like it was.
It's got
really
a place,
awesome.
right? I mean, like.
Yeah, and so like I'm gonna take my mom there too. She would love that. And so far that's the only fine dining restaurant I've been to in New York in a while that I've wanted to return to.
What about Hidden Gem? Secret little place.
Hidden Gems.
Yeah.
All right.
If we got some Londoners heading out there, they want to find something. I don't know, something off the beaten track, Ben.
Yeah.
Let's see. I don't know if you guys. I haven't seen it a lot here, but there's this restaurant called Spicy Village in New York.
Right.
It's a few blocks away from my Chinatown restaurant. It does Northwest Chinese cooking, so it kind of has like a little bit of a Uyghur influence and like a Muslim influence.
Yeah.
I think that exists here, but I haven't
tried it.
Yeah,
we got a lot of Uyghur spots.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
That's very rare in New York. So this is like almost one of a kind. It's really awesome.
Nice.
And so they do something called the big plate chicken, tapati. It's just like chicken braised with like cumin and like big like sloppy wheat noodles, and like it's just this big mess of a thing, and it's like $16, and like it's just so much food. It's really awesome. The funny thing is, like I think there was a rift in the family, And so somebody left and opened new Spicy Village across the street. And
Love
just
a
like,
rift.
yeah.
Well, it always creates good stuff.
Them.
Yeah.
I think they were maybe Nazis, but Puma and Adidas, right? That was
great clothes.
two brothers.
Yeah.
So like,
great
good things can come from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not so much the Nazi stuff,
not
but
the
shoe
Nazi
stuff. But the
bit,
shoe
but that was
stuff.
just an unfortunate-
The innovation of shoe design.
But yeah, the Spicy Village is, I think that's like a great like New York Chinatown restaurant. Really, really good. Yeah.
If you have time while you're here, you should go to Silk Road in Camberwell, get the big grilled chicken there.
Oh, they have it?
They'll
They have
take
the
you
Bill Plate
back.
chicken?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so they have it here. Yeah, it's
definitely
really
like
rare in New York. It's like still like one of a kind there.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I love it. So that's our jam when we're
Okay,
feeling
nice,
it.
good.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be heading there.
Yeah.
So we always say last question. There are about 3 or 4 more, but
Okay.
last question. If you're going on a long weekend somewhere to get away with your wife, to go and eat and drink, you can get on a plane, you go wherever you want. Where are you heading? What spots are you going to be making sure you hit up?
Well, I mean, we unfortunately in London can't be a long weekend, but that's usually what we would do. We've come to London
true.
like 5 times.
You can have a really long weekend in London.
Yeah. Let's see. What did we? We go down to visit her folks in Charleston a lot. Charleston's a really great American
Beautiful place.
southern city, and like they do the barbecue and the southern food like really well.
Yeah.
Like, that like classic, like super fatty, delicious like American food. Like Charleston does that super well, and it's a super quick flight. It's like an hour and a half. We go see your folks and like just like crush barbecue and southern food like over the weekend. It's really nice.
Anywhere in particular that if someone's heading to Charleston, that they could kind of get a really good.
Yeah. Lewis barbecue is amazing.
Okay.
It's the best barbecue I've ever had.
And what do you order?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You have to get it's unusual. It's in Charleston, but it's Central Texas barbecue. Okay. Now I'm no barbecue expert, but like Texas, like the regional styles are very confined to where they are, and they're very, dogmatic about how you do it. But he trained in Central Texas with I think at Franklin Barbecue.
Okay, right, yeah.
And then he opened his own spot in Charleston, and it is incredible. The brisket is just amazing. The sides are everything. I've never had anything there that wasn't amazing.
Just go in there and order everything.
Yeah, and it's going to be this huge queue, and you're going to be like, it's so hot, this is gross, but it will be worth it.
Stay with it.
And then you get up there, and then they're going to be like, like, what do you want to try? And they give you a little taste of brisket. You'll be like, oh, now
Just
I know
more of
why
that.
I waited here. Just give me that,
Yeah.
So just eat a huge plate of meat. Lewis Barbecue, really, really good.
Okay,
Well,
nice.
Eric, it's been an honor and a privilege. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you, guys.
We
I
wish you the
appreciate
best of
it.
luck with Carousel and obviously the standard hotel residencies.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm sure you can get your tables now online, right?
Yeah. Well, I think Pecking House is sold out this week. So
Sold out.
Yeah,
Unlucky,
a
Lou.
little
You
crazy.
wanted to go.
Yeah, but
Our engineer wanted to go.
Yeah, Mama Huang still has tables for next week, and then
Okay.
the standard will be that'll be a full
That'll be a
blast.
month. So
It'll be a full month.
We'll definitely be down there to support you.
Yeah.
You've been incredible. Thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
you, guys.
We're
Thank
going
you.
to
This is
finish off
fun.
by asking you, what is your go-to 3-course meal? The
My
greatest
go-to-
3 courses. If you had to eat again one more time,
Oh,
what are you
just
having?
the
Starter,
one
main,
last
pudding.
time. I eat like a fat kid. So I often say my last meal will be buffalo wings.
To start.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I think to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a buffalo wings. Waffle fries with blue cheese. That's like so good.
Yeah.
That's like my thing. I just love buffalo wings.
I'm with you.
Yeah, and then I think I would have hot dogs.
Yeah.
Hot dogs are like one of my first food memories.
Yeah.
It's definitely like the first thing I ever cooked for myself.
Really?
Yeah, hot dogs.
How do you take the dog?
New York style, really like nice snappy casing, charred up on like a grill or a plancha or something. Sauerkraut, ketchup, mustard, and the chili onion relish that Grace Papaya has. The spicy brown mustard is key.
Yeah,
So
okay.
hot dogs and then dessert, man, that's tough. I'm a huge sucker for a great tiramisu.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. I can't do a ton of dairy.
No,
My
me neither.
lactose intolerance kicked in. Like
Yeah,
around
mine
like,
too.
Yeah, you're
Around
right.
30.
I never used to
Around
be like
30.
that. Yeah.
You're amongst-
Yeah.
you're
Suddenly I
amongst
have
friends.
I have a stracciatella or a buffalo mozzarella and I'm dead.
Yeah, it's like a
I had a
miserable
ricotta
day.
pasta the other day. I
Yeah.
died all night.
So yeah, if I take a lactate, I'll have them tiramisu. But
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
it's like
It's weird because those don't really exist in the UK.
What,
You know, like in
lactates?
America, they all have like little sort of pills you can get from the pharmacy.
they're in
with
my bag right
yeah,
now.
they're
You
in
want
your-
one?
Yeah.
You're running a black market.
But in the UK, people don't really do that, do they?
No,
Or
not
do
so
they?
much. And I think
No.
it's simple. You just pop one, right? And then
Yeah.
And it usually saves you from it. Well, I mean, I think for the most part, the dairy here is amazing.
Yeah.
But you
True.
guys mostly, I feel like a British person with lactose intolerance is rare.
Yeah.
That's like an Asian person with gluten intolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true actually.
Yeah.
No, it's more and more. Well, let's get one of those little pills.
We need to get this pill.
I want to
we need to start smuggling them.
Yeah.
I know. Well, neither of us can do
Next
it.
time you come to New York,
Yeah.
just truck that home.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Guys, thank you so much.
We're going to come, check out your restaurants, obviously, in London and hopefully New York. We're heading out to New York, maybe sometime this year.
Yeah?
But that's sadly all we've got time for. If you're watching, please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please make sure you follow Eric. Follow Benjamin. Follow me. Follow the Go-To Food Podcast.
Follow Louis.
Yeah, follow Louis, the engineer. But also, please use the code GoToBlink and get a month's free on the greatest POS system in the world. Eric, we ask everyone, what song do you want us to play you out with? You can play anything. Choose anything. You don't have to play on the cello. Well, you can play on the cello.
I've done it, if you can provide one. Let's do If You Only Knew, Jurassic 5. That's a good one.
Eric, thank you so much, man.
Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Beautiful.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thank you so much, guys. That was so much fun. Awesome. Thank you. That was great. This is great.
Well, it's